A warm welcome to a new episode of Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. I'm Ritwika Gupta. As part of our special series for Children's Day this month, we are putting the spotlight on companies that are going the extra mile to cater to the needs of children. I'll be first in conversation with the Designers Class, one of India's digital education platforms focused on different verticals of design. And in the second segment, I'll be chatting with Aretto, a footwear brand that's deep-rooted in technology and interestingly grows with the child's feet. Let's get started. A decade ago, a career in photography or design wasn't perhaps quite the preferred option for youngsters to take up. But today, the design industry is growing and there are new age platforms that are seeking to equip students with the skills required to pursue their passion. To kickstart this episode, I'll be in conversation with Samarth Bajaj, founder of the Designers Class, about how young minds can leverage the platform. And also joining us today is celebrity photographer Joseph Radhik, who is looking to give back to the community through an extensive curated course put together with the Designers Class. Listen in. Samarth, Joseph, thank you so much for being with us today on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
So I want to kick this off by asking you, Samarth, the Designers Class, it's a unique platform. What is your connect with design and what was your initial motivation to start this platform? And really just give us an overview of what it offers and what it entails.
So I've been obsessed with design from when I was a young teenager. I think the concept of creating something from scratch has always fascinated me a lot, So I always wanted to do something in design and design education per se, which I was researching for many years, but the scenario wasn't conducive. It was all just brick and mortar. The technology didn't exist to really impact a large number of lives, right? So after a lot of research, after the pandemic kind of hit, EdTech really blew up. Technology grew to a level where you could cater to people in the remotest of places and really make a difference to their lives.
Right.
So that's where the concept of the Designers Class came from, was how do we cater to every design enthusiast that exists, because earlier it was unaffordable. It was very expensive to study design education. The content was a little outdated in general. A lot of issues that existed, which we've kind of worked towards solving with the Designers Class. So that's where it came from. What we offer right now is we already offer 3 verticals, right? There's fashion, there's interior design, and there's jewelry, all taught by stalwarts of industry, right? So we have fashion by Abu Sandeep, Masaba, Kunal Rawal, Riya Kapoor, Tanya Ghavri, Arpita Mehta, Jayanti Reddy, Payal Singhal. So 8 of India's biggest designers teaching you fashion, Gauri Khan teaching you interior design. We have 6 of India's biggest jewelry designers teaching you jewelry. And now we actually are coming out with multiple more verticals. We're launching our wedding photography course with none other than Joseph Radhik.
Of course.
Then we're coming out with few more photography courses with other photographers. We're coming out with a wedding decor course. We're coming up with a food design course. There are multiple things that there's a makeup course coming with Nikki Contractor. Devika is doing the wedding decor course with us. So a lot of exciting things, some that cater more to the professional learning, in-depth kind of learning thing for fashion, some more that is more the verticals of design that are up and coming and will become full-blown profession. Nice.
So Joseph, I'm going to get to your partnership with the Designers Class in a bit. But before that, I actually want to ask you, what inspired you, to get into photography? And, if you can also give us an overview in terms of how have things changed in this industry, the photography industry, from the time you started till now, the opportunities and challenges which were probably not there before when you started out?
So, in fact, I have to break it down into 2 parts, photography and wedding photography. Photography started very much like a nerd's journey. I was interested in a camera. And when I was 18 years old, I picked up my first camera, literally hoodwinked my dad to get me a camera. Over the next 10 years, I started earning money at my first job, etc. And it became a legit hobby. Wedding photography, though, happened due to my sister's wedding. When I Googled the term wedding photography, literally, okay? And 10 years ago, it didn't exist as a genre in India. 12 years ago, actually, when I first Googled. And I then chanced upon work in the in the West, as well as in Australia. There was brilliant wedding photographers creating unbelievable work out there. And I kind of got obsessed with it. A year later, I found myself as a full-time photographer. And since then, it's been genuinely a magical journey, okay? But to answer your second question, which is, how has it changed over the last decade? I think when I started off in 2010, this was pre-social media. This was pre-onset of Instagram in our daily lives, right? Photography, or wedding photography especially, was not seen as a very cool profession to be in. Let me put it that way. It was seen very much almost like a client-vendor relationship. You were just one of the 10 things that you would be hired at the wedding.
Right. Today,
though, there is a far more nuanced option over there. You're seen as an artist. You're recognized as an artist. Thanks actually a lot to social media. The way your images are perceived has changed dramatically, right? Today, I think if you're 25 years old like I was when I quit, and you asked your parents that I want to become a wedding photographer, they'd be okay with it. But when I did it, they were very, very apprehensive.
Right.
So, completely different world now.
So tell us about your partnership with the designers class.
Okay, so firstly, the lineup that Samarth and everyone at designers class put up got me intrigued right away. This is long before Samarth asked me about to join the designers class, right? The lineup is literally some of the most inspirational names in their particular fields. So to be invited to be, to literally head a certain vertical that is in wedding photography is all up for it. The second big thing is the approach, right? The approach here has been constantly about truly sharing and for the end user to walk away with something concrete in learning, right? This is not infotainment. This is not a small bite of information that you pick up over the weekend. This is something, hopefully, if you put it into practice, you can start a complete new livelihood at the end of it.
Okay. No, I also want to understand the practical translation, like you offer industry placements or internship opportunities.
Yes. So if I may, go back to a little bit, like Joseph said, we've all grown up with everyone, with our parents, our elders, asking us a question of design पढ़ के क्या होगा? We're here to answer that question. कि design पढ़ के अभी बहुत हो सकता है. It's become a legitimate career choice. Design is at the center of everything right now. You pick any industry and design is at the center of it. So we're here to equip people with not frivolous information. It's actually information that adds value to your skill set, to your knowledge base, and to your resumes. Then we also place you in internships. We connect you with the industry. There are live classes that happen to teach you further supplementary information that you need to learn. So it's comprehensive.
So shifting my focus a little bit, our show is about entrepreneurship, young entrepreneurs, startups. What would your advice be, for someone who wants to get into the business of photography today, in terms of, the investments they need to make, or in terms of the kind of equipments they need to hire, or probably a studio? So what would be your tips, and like a guide, they can follow?
Right. So I think the toughest thing of being a photographer, of whether you're freelance or working for anyone, right, is that nobody tells you that you're taking a step to be an entrepreneur. That's a great question, firstly. Nobody tells you that. You think you're becoming a photographer, but in reality, you're a photography business owner.
Yeah.
Right? Which means that more than investing in tech, more than investing in physical things, the first thing you need to invest in is a set of folks or one person who can run your business for you. Because, there are very few who come to the table with the kind of, skill sets that I come with, because I went to business school. I was literally taught how to do this, and then photography happened by accident. But if you're somebody who went to art school or or fine art, or you actually went to photography to to learn, right after that nobody teaches you the business aspect of it. It's all, it's base level, but it's not the real things that you need to survive in the real world, right? So number one, invest in a business manager is what I would say. Second and most important, invest in people, essentially, right? Invest in post-production. Invest in the kind of people who will let you spend more time creating, even if it comes initially at the cost of your own profits.
You know, picking up from what you said, you are in a creative profession. So how do you balance creativity and business? Because I'm sure there might be times, you know, you have to take a creative call and you have to put that businessman on the side.
Correct.
And the other way happens sometimes as well. So how do you balance both?
If this was any other genre of photography, I would have had a very lengthy explanation to you. But because this is weddings, every time before I walk into a wedding, I remind myself, I'm only here to photograph a personal event in somebody's life, right? The art or the creative aspect happens by chance. Right. But that's my selfish needs, which should never, which I even don't think about when I'm at the, you know, when I'm shooting. Because 90% of the time, I'm actually thinking about the couple in front of me. How are they going to remember their wedding in the years to come? Eventually, the creative aspect of it comes, but it is always at the back of my mind. So my answer to your question is, in fact, I'm going in there 100% client need first, and then coming to my needs, which will come later, right? I think, honestly speaking, if I had to tell you what is the one thing I'm looking forward to at a wedding, in terms of my wedding photos, I'm actually looking forward to the smile that the bride has when she sees my photos. That's it. And as long as they're relevant, they'll come. Day in and day out. I think that's a big deal.
Of course, of course. Finally, Samarth, tell me, what is your vision for the designers class going forward?
So, like I said, the vision with the designers class is to make design available to anyone who wants to pursue design, you know, with money not being a concern, accessibility not being a concern, and the quality of content, the quality of educational content not being a concern. That's the vision of the designers class, and we want to take it to the globe. So we want to be that central platform that caters to everyone's design needs from an educational perspective, from an information perspective, and from a connectivity perspective. We want to create a very flourishing, thriving design community across the globe, and hopefully after we've achieved what we've achieved, no parent will ask a child ki design padh ke kya hoga, you know.
Great, it was wonderful chatting with the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Leaders of Tomorrow Season 10. I'll now be chatting with Aretto, a made-in-India footwear brand for kids. Very interestingly, these tech-enabled shoes expand and grow with the child's feet. How does the technology work, and how is the brand looking to disrupt the market? Let's find out right away in a conversation with Satyajit Mittal, co-founder Aretto. Hi Satyajit, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Ritwika, for having us.
So to begin with, tell us all about Aretto, the idea behind it and the motivation behind launching a footwear brand for children.
So I've always been fascinated with shoes. My family knows that very well, and a lot of my cousins used to ask me, what shoes should they get for their kids? You know, I've always been a fan of the Jordans, the Air Max, the Adidas, NMDs, you know, when I've seen them, worn them, grown with them. So when they used to ask me what should they buy for their kids, you know, I always used to give a suggestion, you know, get the waffle runners, or get these Nike shoes, or get these Adidas shoes, or get these particular Crocs. So I understood that, you know, I was giving them suggestions from my POV as a teenager back then, or somebody who's in their 25 to 30s. And they used to come back and tell me, the ideas that you're giving us or the suggestions you are giving us is great, but the cost of those shoes versus the value in terms of usage cycle is very low. In fact, one of them told me, you know, we spend 3,500 on a pair of shoes and they've grown out in 3 months, and I can't keep doing that every 3 months, but I want to buy good quality shoes. I observed this, and I took this observation and went into a research mode for almost 6 months. And that is when I read this book called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, who's the founder of Nike. And he spoke about his journey of how a technology driven company, made it so big that when they started out, Adidas was already half a century old, and they went ahead and, were able to beat that particular brand with technology. So I understood there is a lot of potential to be unlocked. And when I heard about the problem that kids' feet are growing very rapidly, but they don't have a solution in the market, which grows with the child's feet. That is the origination of the idea. And then I took this particular problem statement and came up with a solution derived from how petals of a flower bloom. So how it blooms from a bud to a flower, and eventually the petals move out. And that was the inspiration we took to building our patent for Super Grooves technology.
Right. So before we get to talking more about your business, give us an overview of the children's footwear market in India. What are the growth prospects and challenges do you see in this space?
So that's a great question, Ritika. We've been around for 24 months. We are speaking to the vendors, the best vendors in India who are making the product for us. I've been talking to a lot of retailers and the whole industry. And the promise in footwear for the next 10 years is immense. India is the second largest producer of footwear in the world. And the kind of growth that India is seeing in terms of the shift from non-branded footwear to branded footwear is immense. So the unorganized market was the larger bit, and the organized market was only 35%. But at the speed at which it's growing in the next 5 years, that's going to be 45, and it's just going to grow from there. So we realized that India inherently is shifting from non-brand to brand. And while that is happening, we realized that the kids footwear market, which was even larger in the unorganized space, especially catering to 0 to 6 years, that market is just waiting to explode. And we wanted to establish a brand and a product in that space.
Satyajit, help us understand the technology behind Aretto. How does the shoe actually grow with the child's feet? And what is the age bracket are we looking at here?
So that's a great question. So let me pull you back a little by taking 2 minutes. Let's understand how shoes were created or how shoes were built. If you look at the biggest brands in the world making shoes, they were making shoes for athletes between the age of 18 to 25. The shoes were designed for their foot anatomy, and when they realized that the market is growing, they started shrinking those down for kids. And if you look at any of the big brands, the adult shoe, the kids version would be a shrunk down version of the adult shoe. And we realized that is the inherent problem, because the anatomy of a kid's feet is completely different. The bones are still growing. So we actually started speaking to podiatrists who are foot doctors of understanding what is the kind of footwear required for the best growth in a child, because a child is in a very, very crucial stage. Between 0 to 11, a kid's feet is growing and it's ever evolving. The muscles are building, the bones are building, the structure is building. So we wanted to create a shoe that caters to that. At the same time, we realized that the sizing in the footwear industry, the traditional sizing, was inherently not fitting to the best ability of a child's feet. Because a difference between a shoe size, let's say you wear a size 8, the difference between a shoe size from a size 8 to a size 9 is somewhere around 6.6 mm. So whenever you are buying a shoe, a parent was buying a larger shoe for his kid to wear, that it would eventually grow into the shoe and then grow out. So we realized that 1 in 3 kids is wearing the wrong shoe size in India. So our inherent product building was, why can't we make a shoe that grows as the child is growing every day, so it fits them in a bespoke manner on a daily basis with millimetric growth. And that's where we drew inspiration for our patented sole technology of how a flower blooms. So we designed the shoe anatomically to say that it grows front and at the back and on the top and sideways. So a 360-degree growth. So we actually took a sole. We understood that the front and back movement is crucial for the growth of the feet. And we used a 3D knitted technology on the top, which allows the fabric to stretch along with the sole at all given points of time to fit all kinds of shape contours. And that is how we sort of build the technology.
Well, that's interesting. Now, what can you tell us about where the products are available right now for purchase? And if you could also shed light on the price points?
So this is an made in India brand. Everything, right from the components to the molds to the design, everything has happened in India. And it's a completely made in India product. It's not like we are bringing parts from around the world. We make it here. And the idea was to make it at least reachable to parents. So we launched this technology at an inaugural price of $15.99 and onwards. So we have a product right from $15.99 in different colors right up to $2,000. We wanted it to make it more accessible, and currently it's available on our website. And we've just launched 2.5 months ago, and the response has been phenomenal. So currently we are on our website and we are in schools, in selected schools, and we are expanding that channel. But going forward, we are looking to be on platforms like Amazon. But yeah, currently this is our model. A little down the road, we would look at EBOs and MBOs as well.
Sure. And if you could also run us through your funding journey, how easy or difficult is it to get funding for a business that's the first of its kind in its category in the Indian market?
We just raised our first round of seed funding from a clutch of angel investors who are stalwarts in their own space, and they're kind of rooting for us to make it big. So we have raised a small round in August itself.
Sure.
But yeah, looking forward to this journey and hopefully be a 100 crore brand in the next 3 years.
Finally, Satyajit, tell us, what is your vision for the next few years? Can this same technology be replicated onto clothing? Are you considering kids wear in the long run?
Well, shoes is, I'm very focused. We are not jumping to clothing just yet. The shoes itself is a tens of multi-billion-dollar market, to India. So we look at firstly doing shoes in India, then we will look at doing shoes abroad. There are 5 to 6 categories within the shoe rack itself, which we will want to disrupt with a line of products. And that is what we are building.
Well, it was wonderful talking to you, Satyajit. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And that's all we could pack on this edition of Leaders of Tomorrow. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. Thank you and goodbye.